The City of Menasha is pleased to present video recordings of City Council and City Committee meetings. Menasha residents and interested parties can get information about city meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the city website, www.menashawi.gov. Expression of opinions regarding City of Menasha issues or about these broadcasts can be made by contacting the Mayor's office, 920-967-3608. Contacting their city alderman. Contact information appears on the city website. Or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.
Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Common Council meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have the roll, please.
Alderman Nichols. Here. Alderman Eisenach. Here. Alderman Stepnick. Here. Alderman Hammond. Here. Alderman Lewis. Here. Alderman Tom Grady. Here. Alderman Ted Grady and Alderman Rapella are absent.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is the minutes and communications. Do we have a motion? Alderman Stepnick?
Not a whole lot there. Should I take them separately? Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like for us to receive the 1 minute from the Sustainability Committee and the 2 communications, B and C.
It's a motion and a second. Chief Thorne is here this evening to share with us a little bit about the facility dog, as well as our new officer, Officer Goldchuck. Did I get it fairly close? God's Chuck? Okay. Yeah.
So good evening. We have 2 new members of our department. One of them was sworn in today, and the other 4-legged friend here actually came to us a few weeks ago. So I'll talk about our facility dog first. So what's that? There's something moving in the trash can. Good? Okay. So in 2015, the police department really evaluated how we are responding to youth, specifically at our schools. And frequently, our police officers respond to youth that are engaged with behavioral issues, mental health crisis. And we're left with only a few intervention options. Typically, it involves verbal de-escalation, and when that fails, it results in some type of a seclusion or restraint. And Officer Jeff Jorgensen at that time had done a lot of research to look into what's the best approach from our department side of things to hopefully negate that. So we were fortunate in 2015 to acquire facility dog Geller. And Geller was with our department for about 5 years until his retirement in 2020. So the police department again sought out on a search to obtain another facility dog, knowing that there's drastic benefits with how we can respond to youth and both respond to it, but also engage our community in a positive manner. So with the assistance of Officer Rick Heinen, who put in a tremendous amount of effort, we partnered with Can Do Canines and recently acquired Coda, a 2.5-year-old yellow lab mix. So with that, I'll turn it over to Officer Rick Heinen, our elementary school liaison, and he can talk a little bit more about Officer Coda.
All right, yeah, thanks everyone. So about probably the beginning of this year is when Chief Thorne and I have kind of really started talking about it. Like he said, it was a huge staple with Officer Geller, and really we saw a lot of success from it. So I started doing a lot of research on a lot of different facilities and a lot of different options out there for us. And then through talking with most of them, Can Do Canines was at the top of our list for a few different reasons. One of the main ones being the time frame of which we could get her. So didn't actually end up applying till I believe June is when I sent in my application. So it was less than 6 months to get her here. She's about 2.5 years old. She's gone through training most of her life. So right now we're still technically in training. Basically, she's teaching me what to do now. She already knows what to do. So we're in it together for about probably another month and she'll be pretty much done with training, but she is currently working with me in the schools. So it's a lot of hands-on training, kind of like our training officers are on the road. So she's trained in about 40 different commands. Some of the main things she does to kind of help de-escalate kids is she can use like applied pressure. So she has a visit cue where she'll actually like rest her head on a thigh or on a kid's leg or something like that, just to help apply pressure, kind of like a weighted blanket can do. So kids that are kind of going through some escalation, that can really be helpful. She has a snuggle cue, which we're kind of playing with a little bit because the first one was she'd actually kind of lay across them. Well, with elementary school kids and a 75-pound dog, we're kind of adapting that one to, so she'll be laying next to him and applying that pressure that way and just allowing it to be pet. I've seen a lot of success with her already of kids just feeling more comfortable talking and doing stuff like that when she's around. So we look forward to what she can do. She's a very smart dog and I just need to keep learning with her and I think we'll do really well. So thanks. Come on, Coda. Let's go.
It's pretty amazing. I have 2 dogs at home and I think they know like 6 commands between the 2 of them. So for Coda to know 40, it's pretty outstanding. The next new member of our department is Officer Jalen Gottschalk. So Jalen was actually a member of our police auxiliary unit, and he has been for the last 2-ish years. What really drew us to Jalen was the fact that he's like 6'6", and the other thing, the other thing was his ability, his work ethic, and some of the things that we really noticed from him at the police department. His morals, his ethics, and really he's a go-getter. So things that actually Officer Heinen had asked of him to do while he was in the auxiliary unit, Officer Heinen's the advisor, Jalen really was a standout. So we're glad that he's a part of our police force now. He was sworn in this morning and he graduated from Fox Valley Tech on December 15th. So Jalen began training, and Jalen will replace Officer Sarah Swenson, who's going to be retiring in a few weeks here. So.
Chief, you forgot he's got to give a speech.
I think it's working, right? Yeah. So, as you said, my name's Officer Jalen Gottschalk, and I've been working with the auxiliary police for about 2 years, and it's been an absolute pleasure to do so, just getting to interact with the city and the community in a positive manner, and I'm beyond thrilled to be working for the City of Menasha Police Department full-time. Like, while I was in school, I knew it was the place that I wanted to work because of one of my instructors who previously worked there. So I want to thank everybody at the department and all of you for giving me the opportunity. Just a real quick little bit about me then too, just, so you know a bit more about my background. Like, I grew up with a really supportive family, and we've been all over the country, or at least about half of it, like playing music professionally. And so my parents have a band, and I've been part of that since I was 11. And it's, I think, been a big part of getting me ready for this job, interacting with the community and so on. And thanks to that, I've had a really fortunate life up to this point. And I'm excited that this position will allow me to share that with other people and to give me the opportunity to give other people the quality of life that I've been gifted with. So thank you all for, letting me partake in that.
That was a punk rock band, right?
Not exactly, but.
What was that instrument you were talking about earlier? That piccolo, or what was it?
The ocarina, I think you're referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're wondering what it is, it's easier to Google it, but basically it's a glass flute that's shaped kind of like a potato with a mouthpiece. It's a ceramic flute, essentially. That's not what I always play. It's normally the bass guitar, but it is something we've worked into our shows before. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Nice to meet all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the minutes and communications? Alderman Hammond?
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding Communication C, the 2023 Menasha Community Health Assessment, I guess I just had an overall arching question. One of the things that stuck out to me that I found interesting was the social determinants of health and how they're those factors that really impact people's health a great deal, and you broke them down into 5 domains. So I was just wondering, from doing this assessment, which one you might think sticks out the most and the best way that we can educate our community as a health department, as a city, to really help folks make healthier lifestyle choices and just be able to, I guess help folks get healthier, educate them the best that we can.
Excuse me. Thank you, Alderman Hammond. So the social determinants of health we have, and then we slightly deviated from the exact determinants in our report as far as how we structured our domains. They're similar but slightly different. So going off our domains of the report, I think that something that really stands out and was actually hit upon, I think from Alderman Ted Grotti during our budget presentation was social isolation and mental health. We've really seen that piece be hit through the pandemic, just those issues being exacerbated. So that community connection piece and those social connections being really important. As far as, educating the community, I think there's education pieces to that, and then there's also work to be done to build connections, to help be a presence in the community, and that's the health department, but it's also, we talk a lot about the Menasha Senior Center in this report and how we can help older adults who often live alone build connections with each other and find friendships. It's also being part of our school presence and being involved with children and our students. And then we also have the healthcare access and public health system. So obviously as a health department, we have a pretty large role to play in that, and being responsive to our community and listening to their needs, and not necessarily dictating what we think is important to the community. So I would say those two definitely stand out to me as in this community health assessment process.
Any other questions? Seeing nothing else, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, we'll move on to item F, public comments. Is there anyone who wishes to comment this evening? No? We'll move on to the consent agenda. There's only one item tonight, the minutes from the last common council meeting. Do we have a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like for us to approve the common council minutes of 12/18/23.
Is there a second?
Second.
So motion and a second by Alderman Hammond. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item I is action items. The first item is the accounts payable and payroll. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. Move for the approval of the accounts payable and payroll for the term of December 15th through December 28th, 2023 in the amount of $972,778.42.
Is there a second?
Second.
So motion and a second by Alderman Hammond. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carries 6-0.
The second item is the housing study and needs analysis. I don't know if someone wants to make a motion, or Alderman Nichols? Or Alderman Nichols had, Alderman Nichols had her light on. Did you want to make a motion, Becky, or?
I was prepared to make a motion after I asked Director Schrader to present about it.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what we have before us is basically housing study and needs analysis. So what that is going to do is basically take a deep look at currently what we have from a housing stock standpoint, what the market is telling us, what projections we're projecting to make sure as we continue to support development or build out subdivisions that we're doing so in a positive and meaningful way. So this is also the first step to update our housing chapter within our comprehensive plan as well.
Thank you. I have a question after I make the motion. Move to award the housing study and needs analysis proposal to MSA professionals in the amount of $24,950 with an additional 5% contingency for additional project needs that may arise.
Second. So motion and a second by Alderman Grady. Discussion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. In regards to the comprehensive plan updates, a few years ago, we updated the land use chapter of the comprehensive plan, correct?
Correct. Land use and transportation.
Land use and transportation. And this housing study will take a look at the comprehensive plan and also address things that the city is doing well in regard to housing and barriers to housing in the city as well, correct?
Correct.
So my question is there a possibility that the recommendations that come out of the housing study could be in conflict with the updates to the land use chapter? And if so, how would we resolve those issues?
So within state statute, I believe there are actually 11 elements or chapters that need to be updated. So housing is specifically a chapter within that. So land use obviously plays a big part in what types of development happen and can trigger in certain areas, but that is more designed for that aspect of where development happens, not necessarily what the need is. So this housing chapter, as well as a housing needs assessment, will kind of look at the actual need versus land use development patterns.
Okay, I'm just imagining land use is so connected to zoning.
Correct.
And all of these things work together at the end of the day. And so I think my concern just comes out, my question just comes out of the fact that Menasha decided a few years ago to attack the comprehensive plan update in one or two chapters at a time, while most communities approach this thing in one shot every 10 years. And so my concern with that is the fact that we might end up with conflicting recommendations at some point.
And so again, within the land use chapter, if I will, so it calls out certain areas for certain types of housing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily recommend that type of housing. It just says this type of housing may be appropriate in this area. So what the housing element here is actually going to look at is what actual data is out there from a market-driven standpoint, as well as kind of market trends of development, and to implement that. So no, I don't think they would contradict, because they are looking at two separate elements within that.
But at the end of the day, we will have recommendations on how to address housing needs in the city of Menasha.
Correct. That is the ultimate goal through this housing study and then updating the comprehensive plan housing element chapter, is to have those. And certainly comprehensive plans and future land use maps get amended all the time. So if there are certain elements or certain pockets that need to be
reanalyzed, we can certainly do that. And there's additional public hearing processes that go along with that, notifications to certain regional entities that we continue to build off of. Because obviously 10 years is still a long time. Even if a community updates their plan once every 10 years, a lot can change in that 10 years. So constantly having that tool to be able to amend that is where we're at.
At this point, we might get it done in 10 years and have to start over.
I don't know, maybe.
We'll see what happens. Thank you for putting this together, and I look forward to the results.
Alderman Sevenick.
We had 9 proposals. They're all somewhat pretty close. And you're asking for an additional 5% contingency. What would the contingency possibly be?
So with this one, it's not necessarily anything that's needed. A lot of the proposals do have additional traveling mileage, things of that nature. So while there's nothing specifically identified within this, and there's no indication that we would need that 5%, it's just providing staff slight flexibility in case it goes over a couple $100 for unforeseeable issues that may arise. So again, it is nothing that's called out specifically in this proposal. Like I said, some other proposals actually had it, additional travel expenses or additional meetings called out. But at this time, it is just for unforeseen issues.
And the reason I asked the question is that we budgeted $25,000. We're basically $5 away from that. And so you're asking that we approve an additional, basically, $1,200, $1,300. So that's why I asked the question, because we're right at the, the top.
Correct.
Alderman Hammond.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say I appreciate the work that you're putting into this, and affordable housing for folks at all income levels, renter, homeowners, just really crucial to just Menasha and thriving well. So just thank you for doing that, and I'm excited to see hopefully there's some really good recommendations that come out of it.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carries 6-0.
Then we skip all the way down to item N, public comments. I'm guessing no more comments. And one of the shortest meetings we've had in a long time. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
The City of Menasha is pleased to present video recordings of City Council and City Committee meetings. Menasha residents and interested parties can get information about city meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the city website, www.menashawi.gov. Expression of opinions regarding City of Menasha issues or about these broadcasts can be made by contacting the Mayor's office, 920-967-3608. Contacting their city alderman. Contact information appears on the city website. Or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.